Welcome back to Wake Up America Weekend. Well, everyone's favorite Maryland man, Maryland father, I believe, is
that's
what
right.
he's known as, is back in the headlines once again.
Yeah, the attorneys for Kilmar Abrego Garcia filed a request Thursday to impose this gag order on AG Pam Bondi and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Now, he's saying their barrage of prejudicial justice statements threaten his rights to a fair trial. For more on this, let's welcome in federal crime defense trial attorney Ronald Chapman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ronald, this is the third time that Garcia's team has sought a gag order, citing Bondi and Noem's quote-unquote prejudicial statements as risking jury bias here. But how does the courts balance a defendant's right to a fair trial with public officials' freedom to speak?
Ironically, I remember some similar gag order fights in the Judge Engeron case that Donald Trump faced, and it's kind of ironic that this defendant would be using the same case law and trying to avail himself of the same amendment, but that's why we have free speech, right? Everybody is granted the ability to have free speech. And here the DOJ is under very, very strict policy constraints already. There really doesn't need to be any additional action by the judge, but to the extent that any specific statements about the facts of the case that will come out at trial, or perhaps evidence that isn't admissible, is made clear by Pam Bondi or others in the DOJ, that would be a problem, and you need to have some sort of restriction. But generally speaking, the DOJ does a pretty good job in their press statements of making sure that they follow their internal policies to avoid making prejudicial statements during a trial like this. I wouldn't expect there to be too many more constraints by the judge. And of course, if they violate it, there could be sanctions.
Ronald, considering there are no formal charges brought against Lisa Cook, does she even have a case here?
No, not at all. For cause is a very, very low standard, as was just articulated. The Supreme Court visited this, I believe, 2 terms ago and really loosened up any restrictions on the ability to prevent somebody from being removed from their office. When it comes to the Fed, it's fighting for its survival right now. If they try to stand up for her and keep her in, despite the fact the president wants removal, that's going to be big problems. And I think the administration would really start taking a heavy look at every single other person there. They certainly don't want that. She's got to go, and that's going to happen pretty quick.
Ronald Chapman, thank you both so very much for joining us today.